It's the one tournament a year that in golf you don't want a playoff, and it goes to a playoff every time. Usually when you go to a playoff in golf, the drama builds, more people tune in because like I got to see the conclusion of this thing. Let's go. When you go to a playoff in golf on the Super Bowl weekend, everybody turns it off to go watch the Super Bowl. We are coming off a very big week with much to talk about, from the Super Bowl to the WMPO. Fans, Patrick Reed, Scottie Scheffler, Chris Gotterup, history, all kinds of great stuff. And it's all brought to you on this show by Chevy Equinox, which is your do-it-all SUV. From your daily drives, weekend trips, and last-minute tee times with active trim. Equinox is at home on dirt and gravel, polished for the course, prepared for the getaway. Equinox's big touchscreen, which is amazing, by the way, puts all your music, maps, and tech front and center. We got a lovely, lovely show today, Trent.
Yeah, it's a great one. Packed show, a lot going on, waste management. Scottie Scheffler had an interesting week. We got to talk about Patrick Reed, which is always an absolute pleasure on this show. We talk about the PGA Tour's new marketing campaign around the players. A lot of stuff to get to, and it's all brought to you by our great friends at Chevrolet.
The bold, athletic, and confident style of the Equinox looks just as good at the course as it does off the map. Chevy's been supporting us for a very long time. They've been doing it in this country for a very long time. The bow tie, incredible research and development, innovation over the years has now led to the Equinox being your do-it-all SUV. Once again, go check them out. Chevy Equinox is your do-it-all, go anywhere SUV. Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. We are back. We actually have a lot to talk about in the world of sports and golf. The WM Phoenix Open 2026 has concluded. Great friend of the program, Chris Gotterup, gets yet another win. He's been on such a tear. I want to talk about him. Hopefully we're going to get him on the show for the second show of the week. But we just had a conversation about it. I think Frankie tweeted that out, that we had a nice conversation with him about, the fun stuff of Barstool, the Mincy stuff he was really into, a little bit of the Duke stuff he's really into. Seeing him in the playoff, I think he birdied 5 of the last 6 holes to get himself into a playoff, and then birdied the first playoff hole. It's really been an incredible tear over the last 8 months for Chris Gotterup, him staring down Rory McIlroy at the Genesis Scottish Open, and getting that win, and then coming out blazing to kick off the season with 2 wins at the Sony Open, and then here at the WM Phoenix Open. A lot to be excited about on the Gotterup front. We obviously had the Super Bowl, which there's plenty to talk about from the Super Bowl. To go back to the WM, we had some fan stuff that's got the people going, as is tradition at the Phoenix Open, so we could kind of break some of that down. But we had Brandel Chamblee with just an incredibly hot take at the right time to get everybody going about the Players' Championship being the best major championship that there is. That's got everybody's panties in a bunch. So quite a bit to talk about, but we are back, gentlemen. We have returned.
Yeah, great week. Absolutely phenomenal week. Shout out to everybody that bought some merchandise in the tent. I know we tweeted that out as well, but just an outrageous thing to look back on, how this whole thing started. 2023, we had a pretty good merchandise business, apparel business on our own, and our team struck a deal with PGA Tour Superstore, all of these different entities to be able to get our stuff wholesale and into stores and into PGA Tour events. Our first one being the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which was obviously a huge event to kickstart things off. And we were the first ones in there. It was a real trial and error in terms of how is this going to perform? We're putting you next to Adidas, Peter Millar, Nike. We're just going to throw you right into this tent. There's some non-major brands at the time. It was the Bad Birdies and all these other small, niche category. Maybe it was wild printed shirts or whatever. And we were thrown right in the middle of them. Sold out within 2 or 3 days. It's oh smokes. Holy smokes. Next year they ordered double. Holy smokes. The next year they ordered double of that double. Holy smokes. And this year it got so big that we're selling shoes in the tent, where it was us and just one other major brand that was selling shoes. Talk about Michael Jordan and all these other brands that were making deals with them. And it was Barstool Sports that were just in there with an Adidas shoe. It was Adidas and Nike, the only 2 brands in there with shoes. absolutely preposterous. And then we had to get these shipping containers filled with extra boxes. I asked our merchandise team, I said, were we the only one? Because like you had this huge tent and there was one shipping container in the back. I'm like, that has to be like the excess for the whole entire place, right? No, that they're like, that's our shipping container. And it was filled to the brim. And at the end, by Saturday, it was completely empty. So truly, truly amazing. Obviously, shout out to Chris Gotterup, not to make this whole entire thing about Barstool Apparel. It's just been on the top of my mind.
No, you
just
can do
like
it.
where
You
we've
can do it.
got.
I like it.
Just like where that tournament, now that Riggs is a Thunderbird and he's really a part of it, like that tournament means a lot to us because it's been the launching pad of what this business turned into. So the PGA Tour took a risk on us and a shot, and I think that we delivered greatly, and I think our fans and all the people that like our stuff delivered greatly. Our team, like Quinn, Allison, Pilar, all the people that come and show up and help, Molly, like the team is absolutely incredible. That's working their ass off, running inside, outside the tent, and really just making sure that it's a good experience for all the people that follow us to go get some of our stuff. So just wanted to start the show with a big thank you to everybody. And it really is just like now next year is going to be a success because of this. Like that's just, it really is amazing to see how big it ends up getting. And yeah, it's mind blowing every time.
Yeah, I mean, we have our roots in that tournament. I mean, Riggs and I talked about in the last show or the last couple where we launched this podcast 9-10 years ago during this week. We flew out there on our own dime. We did the run to 16, and that we were just boots on the ground, guerrilla marketing, like trying to get this thing going. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Frankie, for the merch to have exploded and for it to have been the first spot to sort of take a risk on us, it means a lot to us. So yeah, it's always a great week for us. It's always great going out there and seeing everybody. And yeah, Riggs's connection to the tournament now with the Thunderbird thing is amazing. And it was a great tournament. I mean, I think it went to a playoff for the 7th time in 11 years, something like that. Hideki, who, we talked a lot about, it's always people at this tournament who have won it multiple times that are probably going to win this thing. And for a long time, it looked like it was going to be Hideki Matsuyama. It was his to win. He just had to make a par on 18, and the tournament was his. Makes a bogey. Gotterup goes on that stretch on the back 9 where he birdies 5 of 6, and boom, we got a playoff. And then I'm seeing videos of maybe a security guard dropping a chair while Hideki was trying to tee off during the playoff hole. He stops in his backswing. The next swing ends up in the water. Gotterup makes a birdie putt, wins the tournament. This tournament always seems to bring the headlines with the fans or something, and we got a lot of good golf. So it was, I mean, shout out to Chris Gotterup. We're huge fans of him. Great tournament.
I thought it was a great edition of the tournament this year. It's been 2 years now since the rainy Phoenix Open that really got everybody going, where they had to shut off liquor sales on Saturday. If you guys remember that year, like a bunch of the parking lots were closed because there was so much rain. So there was nowhere to park. There was nowhere to walk. And it just led to like half of the surface area of people to be able to walk and move around on. It shrunk in half. Plus it was rainy. Plus it was cold. And there was just a lot of bad videos that came out from that. There was a lot of bad PR that came out from that. Last year, really, really tried to focus hard. And again, being kind of on the other side of it now, knowing the focus was like, better, not bigger. We're not trying to, we're trying to really focus on, there's a lot more digital, almost the entire thing, except a few venues, including 16, are like digital tickets now instead of physical tickets. It just really, that way you can monitor exactly who's coming in, who's there, what your numbers are. There's not going to be as many lines at will call and all of it. We added an entire new entrance. It used to just be that main entrance where you walk under the bridge over by TBC Champions and the DraftKings Sportsbook. There's another entrance that's been added up near the 18th tee now that has really kind of alleviated a lot of the pressure. And so just like a lot of efforts have gone into making the event smoother and better. And I thought this year it went off incredibly well. We had really, really good weather. Scottie made an incredible charge to get back into the event after looking like he was going to be out of it. But inevitably, there were a few things that really got people going from a fan perspective, and they happened to come right at the end of the tournament. A couple things I will say. The one on the 18th hole during the putt, it looked like it was just a fan trying to get in the hole going and just mistimed it and came up early. That's what it looked like from watching all the clips after. Unacceptable. That's like, we talked about kind of that exact moment many times. We've been like, it's kind of a miracle that, Rory with a putt to win the Masters tournament on 18, that 25,000 people standing around that green and nobody blew it in like one of the biggest history, moments in like golf history. This is not the Masters, obviously. And you kind of expect crowds, you're going to get it. There's a lot of partying going on. There's booze flowing. Just so people do understand, on the side from those of us now being part of the Thunderbird group that hosts and runs the event, like we take the crowd control insanely seriously, to the point where like each one of us does multiple 2-hour shifts throughout the week just doing crowd control. So I had on Thursday for 2 hours and on Friday for 2 hours. I went out to the 17th tee. We pretty much do it at like bottleneck points and points where things can get really intense. So Thursday I was doing it on the 17th tee, kind of rotating between the 17th tee and the 16th green, because if folks, you guys have been there, when people finish the 16th hole, they walk under that tunnel and then they stand on that 17th tee and hit the tee shot up near the green on the drivable par 4. Well, all those people up in the bleachers, they just turn their asses around. And now instead of yelling at you on the 16th green, they're like standing on top of you after drinking all day, and they're just looking down on you, and you're in like a zoo cage almost, where they're just kind of looking down and they can say whatever they want. So I was kind of monitoring that spot. What we do there is we work with the police to point out problem spots, and the police sort of lean on kind of the Thunderbirds being like, hey, we can give people warnings, this, that, but if you guys need us to like remove anybody, if you see anything, let us know. So, all the folks in our organization do that throughout the entire week and take it very seriously. But it's also an incredibly tricky line to walk. It's very obvious when someone has gone too far, but it's not that obvious that someone's about to go too far. So, like, if you think back to the Justin Thomas situation where he was like, see you later, buddy, and he kind of got roasted. I think we did too, for being like, oh, that's so soft. This guy paid for a ticket. He's allowed to be a fan and kind of chime in. But maybe that guy was 5 minutes away from going too far. Like, should he have been kicked out? And so I think with the Phoenix Open, it's like we're clearly walking more of the line of like, have fun. If somebody does go too far, we will not hesitate to be booting people. But I'm also like I'm not walking around looking for reason to kick people out of the WM Phoenix Open. We got greenskeepers, which I tuck you guys into, which like, we are not lying about anybody going to greenskeeper thinking they're expecting to watch some golf. I don't even think you could see any golf from there. It's just DJ booth, party. You're here to have a great time. So when you kind of mix all that, there's obviously going to be incidents where whatever, people go too far, they're inappropriate. Like, it is taken very seriously to try to boot people out when they do go too far. But we're also not trying to be the Masters tournament. We're not trying to be even the Players Championship. It's like, this is the WM Phoenix Open. We don't want anybody to ruin it at any point. And if they do, we're going to kick them out. So it's a very tricky line to walk. I think, Hideki couldn't hit a fairway to save his life the entire day anyway. So it's like, makes me feel a little bit better about it. That one, the guy yelling from the 18th green putt, totally unacceptable. That kind of sucked. I'm glad he backed off, was able to get it a legitimate effort. And then the one on the 18th tee, as it turned out, wasn't even a fan. It looked like, I saw the clip as well. It was like a marshal that happened to drop a chair on concrete at the exact wrong time is unbelievable. I get why people jump down the throat of the fans again, and we're like, oh my God, twice in a row. And I would also admit to being out there like, dude, there's a lot of USA stuff going on. It's Chris Gotterup with his gold fucking chain and his Rutgers, Oklahoma background against Japanese Hideki Matsuyama. Like, you're going to get some fans out there being like USA and all that. That's also like, when you're out there, it's a very sensitive spot to walk where you don't want people to go too far. Hideki's like the nicest guy on the planet. But you get how some of that can happen. And so anyways, the whole point of my rant was sort of just so people understand that, like, we're not out there rooting on that stuff to happen. We're like trying to control it as best we possibly can. You're going to get hundreds of thousands of people out there. Some people are just going to fuck it up and blow it. I'm glad it wasn't worse. I thought that overall it went damn well. People were kind of handled that needed to be handled. And I don't know that I would say that it like completely, that it really affected the result of the tournament. Like I said, if Hideki was hitting the ball on a string off the tee all day long and then hit one tee shot left, but he hit his tee shot left on the 72nd hole. He hit his tee shot left in the playoff. Yeah. And that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But just so people know that, like, we are trying to monitor the crowd while also making sure people have a fucking blast the entire week.
No, and I didn't think it had an effect on it, and I didn't bring it up to like pinpoint anything that had gone wrong in the tournament. I thought it was a great result, and I thought everything went really damn well. I just, it was making me laugh thinking about that security guard with the chair, just like, all right, well, I'm definitely not going to drop this thing. Like, I can't drop this thing, no chance. And then as soon at the worst possible time, bang, hits the ground, and Hideki was able to stop his swing. And yeah, you're right, he was missing the fairway all day, so it didn't end up mattering, but. Yeah, it was just a very funny just moment where it was like, wow. I mean, anybody who watched Super Bowl last night, they didn't show it, but a guy ran on the field in the middle of the game and was just like running around. So this stuff does happen at sporting events, and I think golf fans largely overall do a very, very, very good job of like being quiet at the right time and not making it about themselves at any particular moment.
Incredible athleticism on Hideki's part.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That. I mean, Tiger's always been great at that. Tiger does that downswing, about to make contact, completely stops it, recoils back, looks back at the crowd.
Was the one with the bird? Was there one with like the bird shadow at the Masters or something where Tiger did like the most impressive recoil of all time?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would never be able to do that. When I'm on my downswing, I barely get the downswing going as it is. Like if you get me to my top spot that David Woods, the instructor, is trying to get me to, once I'm up there, that pendulum is swinging, baby. I'm going for the golf ball, and it's probably I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna slice it, whatever. But yeah, no, just an absolutely great week. Good week for us. Good week for golf. I mean, it's always the best way to kick off the year. We got a couple of good videos out of it too this week. We went out and filmed on Wednesday. We've got a video against Chaz. It was myself and Trent versus Chaz. And you guys know Chaz from the Internet Invitational. He challenged us at the PGA show. He goes, "There's no way you guys would ever be able to beat me." So we said, let's make it happen at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We went out and played against Chaz at this place, the Raven Golf Club, I think is what it was called. Awesome track.
Yeah.
And then for
Raven's
next week,
great.
we have an all-time video as well. We got two great ones coming out. But this one coming out against Chaz is an all-timer, and then the one after that is against Biz. I think it's one of our best videos we've ever put out. I cannot wait for these next two videos. Biz, we have such a good, and I've been talking about it all weekend to people. Like, we have such a good format with Paul Bissonnette that I cannot wait for people to see. So we'll let the Chaz one kind of shine, and then we'll move on to the Biz. But just a very productive, great week for the fellas. Chris Gotterup, we had a nice interaction with him. You mentioned it off the top, but I think I tweeted out Tuesday. It may have even been Wednesday when we were recording that podcast.
I think it was.
Okay, so I just forgot that we were like out there on Wednesday before these guys were about to compete. It's always amazing to be able to talk to them like the night before they're about to go play in a tournament. But we're out there like kind of late. I remember the sun was at that point where everything was really bright, right above. It was like almost eye level. It was later in the night, later in the day, and Chris Gotterup had obviously been done with Pro-Am and practicing, and I had walked when we were walking up to the driving range before we did our interviews. I said to Trent, I was like, look at Chris Gotterup. He looks like a regular guy that just so happened to stumble his way onto the driving range because he had no hat on and he was on the phone leaning up against his driver on the driving range. And to his left, guys were like grinding with towels under the arms and swing playing stuff. And to his right, there was like, maybe it was like Matsuyama with like all of Japanese media behind him. And Chris Gotterup was literally leaning on a driver on his phone with no hat on and like an open shirt with the button all the way down to like his nipples. And I'm like, look at that guy. Like, that guy is my buddy who's coming on my golf trip this year. Like, there's no way that guy is the guy. We've made this kind of comment twice now with champions, one being Phil Mickelson. When we were at the PGA Championship in Kiowa, we were like, there's no way the way Phil looks like on the driving range now that he can win this tournament. He's done. And we said the same thing about Gotterup. Not necessarily that he can't win, but we're like, he just doesn't look like the rest of the guys right now. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's just completely zen and he's just who he is.
Yep.
He's not stressing at all. He's like, listen, I'm living. I'm making money. I'm winning. I don't need to do any of this shit.
It reminds me of
Wednesday afternoon.
It reminds me of the Scotty Brooks part from Full Swing, where like Brooks was like, I wish I was just like in a happy, non-stressful place, worried about my golf game, like Scottie Scheffler. He's walking around doing iced coffee, and like Gotterup's then on the range, just like, nope, my swing's dial. What are you guys up to? You want to talk about Mincy?
Yeah, so we end up doing our interviews, and at the end, I think Ryan Rich and we were like talked about how Gotterup was walking around, right? Like during the show. So Gotterup's just like in our section towards the end of the episode, and we're looking at him. He's like walking around. This is on Wednesday. And we finish our show. He like kind of waits around for us. Like, I don't know what he was waiting on. Maybe it was like his crew, but he's just like waiting around, talking to us, daps us up, says, "How's it going, boys?" And then immediately the first thing out of his mouth was like, "That Mincy stuff, man. Like, I can't stop watching that Mincy stuff." And we're dying. We're like, "I know." He's like, not a real person. He looked at our shoes. He's like, "Were those a Mincy shoe?" Like, he's just like, he knew all the inside jokes. And I was just, we're going back and forth about the characters at Barstool and like that's what makes kind of, we always talk about like, what's the thing that someone's going to come up to you and say if you have something going on at Barstool, like what's like resonating with the people. It's always Breaking 85, or it's always a hater series or stuff like that, or like the merchandise. Hey, we saw those Sambas. Like, I was getting screamed at me at the airport the other day. Like, Mincy transcends everything. Like, everyone's like, "That guy Mincy, is he real?" And it got into Chris Gotterup's circle. Chris Gotterup, it was coming across his desk. That one, and then he starts to walk away. We're laughing about Mincy. We're like, "This guy's incredible." And on the way back to his bag on the driving range, he turns around. He goes, "You know what other one I watch like crazy? The one that I'll always go back to." I'm like, "Which one?" He goes, "When Nadu flew." And we're dying. We're like, "No way." He's like, "Yes, dude." He's like, "When Jeff Nadu walked off that plane and he flew," because that's the greatest moment ever. I had like tears rolling out my eyes. I mean, this guy, I was like, "Were you plugged in that day?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I was dialed in." I'm like, because if you were watching it live when Nadu flew on the yak, there was nothing like it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, especially on the news. I don't know if you guys are seeing this like Guthrie stuff where it's like every update,
Crazy.
you're like in front of your TV being like, how is this even real life? Like, not to even compare. Obviously, one is like a horrific tragedy, and one was like the most outrageous thing of all time. But like, you had to see every single update is my point. Like, there's not many moments in my life that come across my desk where I'm like, all right, what's the latest on this thing? Because I can't move on with my day without knowing it. And Nadu was one of them. And that got into Chris Gotterup's head as well. He's like, I couldn't stop. He couldn't stop watching. And when Nadu got off that plane, legendary moment, a legendary "where were you" moment. So Chris Gotterup, big Mincy fan, big Nadu fan, obviously champion of the Waste Management Phoenix Open 2026. Great stuff.
It is great stuff. He's he's just a cool dude too. He's very well liked around. If you see his his post tournament interviews, once again he's out there with Amanda Balionis, and he just can't help but break down. He kind of mentions that his girlfriend was saying that his other 3 wins she'd never been there for. This was the first time she was there for a win, and he just kind of starts crying after he says that. So you could tell he's got a heart of gold in their family, and it's very grounded to his friends and family. Great friend of Lurch. I don't know if people remember that.
Huge
but
fan.
Huge. There was just years there where Lurch would talk about Gotterup, but would never get him on the show under any circumstances or in a video. And so there's that connection as a Jersey guy, and playing out in Rumson and going to Rutgers. There's that connection to Jersey and to our good friend Lurch. So a lot of connections there. There's also a connection to the TaylorMade Spider. I believe he uses the X Tour. So another win for the TaylorMade Spider, which we had with David Abelies on just last week, and the amount of times we've had Adrian Rietfeld on here and all the guys from TaylorMade talk about how, yes, they're known for their drivers and their woods, and they've made a huge strides in the golf ball department, in the irons department, in the MG5 wedges department, all of it. For them to be making and having the success with the putters and the TaylorMade Spider that they've had over the last several years, from Scottie to Rory to Gotterup, and so many other players, it's incredibly impressive. So another win, gentlemen, for the Spider family.
Incredible. TaylorMade to the moon, just really just on top of the world right now. Just like, they're in another stratosphere. It's just absolutely insane. No matter who is lifted a trophy, they have some connection to it. No matter what it is, whether it be a full sponsored athlete or an athlete that isn't even sponsored with them but has to use one of their pieces of equipment because it's so good. TaylorMade is just clearing the board right now. So much so, I mean, we've been with TaylorMade for years now. It's been 5 years, maybe 5 years at this point,
right around there.
And we just talked to David Abelies. Like, we are so interested in how they've gotten to this point that we've talked in our little group text and even on the road that we want to do one of those. We love that show Acquired, all of us. We really are huge fans of that show Acquired. And I've been doing some digging. Like, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily write a book about TaylorMade, because like it seems like it's a lot of work, and the more digging I keep doing, the more I realize like if I continue at this, I'm now just writing a book on the history.
It gets worse. Yeah, it gets worse when you start digging. You're
dude,
like,
it's really bad. Like, so to cut to the point, like I think we should do. I would love to start doing like the golf version of that, even little segments. So like whether it be 20 minutes or whatever of like really interesting stuff. And that's something that we're going to bring to our listeners this year. One of them being like the TaylorMade story. We talked with their CEO and it was so interesting to hear how they got there. And I'd love to do little stories like that, whether it be golf courses or how like a certain course got a championship or like getting ready for a major championship. If there's any interesting story out there that we can kind of shine a light on, I think that we should at least do a little. I'm reading a lot now. I'm reading about Harry Truman right now. It's unbelievable how much you learn about them and how you can keep, when you find one thing, you dig and dig and dig. Now, are we going to be like going and talking with like the founder of TaylorMade's family and like ask him where he went to high school? Because there's like not that much information on him aside from like the bullet points that they put on the TaylorMade website, a couple of Hall of Fame inductions in like his local area that he grew up in Chicago, in Illinois. I'm already deep into this, by the way. Deep. Like I'm deep in there, right? Like I know where he worked, where his first job was, why he started TaylorMade, but like I want to know more. Just like David Attenborough. Oh my God. Our guy
Abelese.
Our guy McCullough will like he'll mention one name and he'll be like where'd that guy go to school? Like, are we gonna be doing that? Because then if that's the point, if we're getting that deep into TaylorMade, like then we're there. Then we're writing a book. Then we're doing an audio book and the whole deal. So I'm going on a rant because I've been so interested in this. TaylorMade is such a great, awesome story that I want to tell it. And I think our fans would be interested in it. And hopefully they will be. And if not, it's just a fun exercise for us to all do. Like we'll all get a part of the TaylorMade story and we'll tell it. So it's up to you guys if you guys want to do it along with me. Like we may talk to historians. Do we interview people like off pod? Like, do I call someone off pod and ask them stories and write it down on a notepad? Am I now an interviewer? Am I digging?
Maybe.
You know what we'd be doing? Dude, we would go to TaylorMade HQ and all those guys making clubs in those back rooms, like the little engineers. You interview those people, dude, the stories that you would get from them. And then you got to go full McCullough and you got to learn how to weave that in chronologically. You might get to year 2018 and you're like, this is the spot to tell that story from 1989 about something and roll that in there. Like, come on, we're writing a book now.
The Foreplay podcast says we've entered our education era. Where
if we're going to do multiple of these, we'd have to keep it kind of concise. Like, I think finding
we're not going to do any of this, dude. We're not going to do any of this.
No, we're not. No, the general story will be good enough to start. We're going to do as much as we can. I think we're going to talk to some people. I think it's going to be great. I hope people look forward to it. One day we're just going to hit you with it. We're not going to promote it. It's just going to be like at the end of a podcast. By the way, this is the TaylorMade story. By the way, this is the blank story. Like it's just going to happen.
People forget Riggs did a version of this years ago. What was that called?
It was called, I think, Diggs, Foreplay Diggs.
Yes.
You did do this.
Yep, I did 2 of these because I was going through kind of an era that you're going through right now, Frankie, where I was so into hardcore history with Dan Carlin, and a couple of those are, and I think we were talking about this last week, maybe off camera, Frankie, but a couple of those are like the best content pieces I think I've ever consumed. The Wrath of the Khans by Dan Carlin is just, in my opinion, the most interesting. It's like 20 hours long total. I think it's 6 parts and each episode's like 3 or 4 hours long. But it's all about Genghis Khan and the Mongols and how they went from just like a bunch of tiny little tribal communities in the Eurasian steppe to by far the most dominant power on planet Earth. And that if it weren't for like Genghis Khan getting kind of unexpectedly sick, that like all of Europe and probably America would be like Mongolian at this point because of how much they dominated. And it's fucking fascinating. And it's a time period that I never found interesting. It's whatever it is, like the 1200s or whatever that was, that like I always just kind of thought of it as part of the Dark Ages, as uninteresting as like, you know, anything between like the Roman Empire and the Industrial Revolution. I was sort of like, whatever, like lurch, like whatever, who gives a shit? And then all of a sudden, dude, you read this and you're like, what? And I've kind of told it before, but like the horse archer part of it, how they grew up essentially as toddlers, like riding horses, and all the way to the point where they learn to be able to fire their arrows at the exact moment that all 4 hooves of a horse are off the ground, so it's perfectly flat. And then they would go up against other armies pretty much everywhere, but Persian armies. They would go into China. They eventually started to like creep their way into Europe, and like they would basically run circles around armies that were standing there with swords and just fire arrows at them and take them out. And like these armies of 10, 15,000 Mongols would just decimate like 50 or 100,000 person armies from like Georgia and all these other places. And then as quickly as they arrived, they just were pretty much kind of gone. Like the Mongols were kind of gone, and in the whole world, like they've got all kinds of techs from like different parts of what's now like China all the way over to Europe, where they kind of tell like these myths about like this army arrived, it absolutely dominated cities, killed hundreds of thousands of people, and then they kind of never came back. And people were just like, we don't know what the fuck happened. We don't know what that was. And it was like Genghis Khan and the Mongols. And so the whole tale got me really, really going on history. And I thought like, God, this is so compelling. I would love to do a version of golf on this, or a version of this on golf. It turned out to be an insane amount of work, like you described.
Insane amount of work.
But dude, I did it for a couple, because I was like, I think these could really take off. But I think today we could do them even better, and maybe they would. But I did Tiger's 2008 US Open, where he won on a broken leg and a torn ACL, and I went through the whole thing. And dude, I combed through and went through. This was before it was like visual; they were just pretty much audio at the time. But I picked a bunch of clips from Tiger's from the footage on YouTube, I think, that the USGA has, and I would sort of do a build up, like we're kind of talking about Dan Carlin, and then I would hit you with like the NBC call from like Tiger's shot, and it was like 45 minutes or whatever it was. And then the other one that I did was Phil Mickelson's relationship to the US Open, and how he has finished runner-up 6 different times in the US Open. And I would again kind of build it up. I would give all the context. I would read quotes, and then like play a clip of Phil Mickelson after blowing up at Winged Foot and being like, I'm such an idiot. And like people loved him. They were a little bit amateur version of it at the time, because like I was trying to get through it all and whatever. But yeah, Trent's right. I kind of gave this a swing like 7 years ago, and I would love to revisit it, because it is very fun to do.
It's yeah, it would be unbelievable. That's basically what we want to do. It's just we're not going to be able to do this. You're never going to be able to do what Acquired does, because it takes them like 6 months to come out with one episode.
I know.
It's like preposterous. But I do think that us like kind of coming down all together, we find one topic that we find interesting, we kind of all write it down, what we want to say about it. Like even the way you just described the Mongols, that's just perfect enough for me to like, now I know a little bit about them. I want to do that for people in the game of golf as much as we can. So I just think it'd be fun. A fun little exercise for us to at least go into the things that we're interested in. Right now, Taylor may be on the top of mind.
Dude, Frankie, go download The Wrath of the Khans from Hardcore History, and like on our travels over the next couple months, just like listen your way through it, and you will be blown away. Like the fucking Genghis Khan like killed his brother when they were like kids, and like it is his like girlfriend was kidnapped, and like that's what ended up putting him on like an absolute tear to get revenge on everybody around him. And it is something. It is absolutely something.
Well, whenever I finish this freaking Bible-sized book on freaking Harry Truman, it's like that might take me.
What page?
You still on page 1? You still on page 1?
220 or something like that.
Right.
But I got like 700 to go. It's just the guy's not even a politician yet. Like, come on, man.
You'll get there.
We're still we're still talking about Bessie and like I know he's gonna end up marrying her. Like, let's get to the juicy part. When are we dropping this bomb? You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's very daunting knowing like the best stuff is 300 pages away.
Fair.
To bring it back to golf, Chris Gotterup loves all those guys, and that's that. It's just he's a Barstool guy. He's like a regular dude that just goes out there and wins golf tournaments. And it was a hell of a tournament, guys. I mean, the ending always gets stepped on a bit, especially when it goes to playoff, because like the playoff happened as Charlie Puth is singing like one of the best national anthems of all time. And I will say, excuse me, to bring it back to books one last time, I got a little bit emotional listening to the Super Bowl. Always does that to you, but like, you know, like, do they sing America the Beautiful to start, and then they sing the national anthem? Like, when the flag is getting brought out and they have all the flyover and they're showing all the military and the Navy and all the guys like standing at salute, and you read a book like 1776, and I know 1776 doesn't get into, which Trent told me it's literally just the year 1776. I was waiting for them to like win the war. I'm like, wait, this thing just ended, and like we don't even know what happened. Yeah, he's like,
just
yeah,
change the title, like 1776 through 1783.
Like, I was just, because I had to like Google the rest of like the American Revolution because it was at the top of mind. I'm like, what happened? And it's like, yeah,
did we
like,
win? Did we
the
fucking
most
win
happened after that? Like, and I was like, I was ready for them to, you know, write the national anthem or something like that, like during the book. Like, I was waiting to get all that. But once you start to really read a book and like what those guys went through and like why we even are a country and how we even shouldn't have been to begin with, just like by just pure courage and determination and like just not caring about the outcome of your life and just like throwing yourselves into the lion's den for a better cause. And like now, like what it's turned into and like the country that we have and like that big flag going across a football field, and just like American football is just like, it's the pinnacle of what we've been able to build. People that have like expendable income that can go and watch a game of like people just playing a game and giving us entertainment. We've got such a good country now that we can like spend our time just watching guys play a game like that and sit along family and watch this like just for entertainment purposes, when like back in the day it was like all about just survival and just like moving forward and trying to stay alive. Now it's like we've got all these things in this country. It's incredible. We've got all these amazing airplanes flying over, these fighter jets, and like showing the power that we've built to like, it's what, and you think back to, you know, I just read that damn book, you know, George Washington's having to sneak across the East River just to survive, just to barely have this country have a fighting chance. And now we're playing a football game in San Francisco and they've got like fighter jets flying 100 feet over people's heads and everyone's screaming for America. Like, and Charlie Puth singing the national anthem. It got me emotional, man. I was like, I almost said something out loud to like my family, being like, man, if you read this book 1776, like this stuff will get you going right now. Like, because you just take it for granted sometimes. And I couldn't even say it. I thought I was going to start crying. I kept it to myself. It got me emotional, man. I was like, holy smokes. I'm just like in a moment right now. I don't know what it is.
No, it does make you wish that everyone would make it required reading to just sort of know where it all came from. Because yeah, there is a lot of just like, oh no, this is the country that I know and this is where I live. And like, there's a lot of sacrifice that went into all of this to finally like get to the point where we are now. And we're 250 years into it. But as the Super Bowl, it's America's greatest spectacle. And you're a guy who cries at a huge spectacle.
Yeah.
And Super Bowl is number one on the list. Like, it's all the pageantry. It's everything America all at once in one single evening. That's what it is.
Yeah. So that just got me going, man.
There is one real negative of being part of the Thunder organization is that that the Super Bowl just doesn't even exist. Like, there's no, dude, we don't, like like, it's funny too, because I was talking with Ryan Richard before we came on, but I was like, it's the one tournament a year that in golf you don't want a playoff, and it goes to a playoff every time. And there's a couple reasons, but like the biggest one is like usually when you go to a playoff in golf, the drama builds, more people tune in because like, I got to see the conclusion of this thing. Let's go. When you go to a playoff in golf on the Super Bowl weekend, everybody turns it off to go watch the Super Bowl. And then the other thing is like, for us, I mean, I think I've been drinking since January 28th, and you're like on this experience with all these guys where it's like you're hosting all week long. So even though you wake up and you think like, all right, I'm going to kind of take these, you run into like, I was hosting all the guys from Adidas, Steve Splavik and all them. And it's like, they get there at 10, 11 in the morning and they're like, let's go by 16. We're going to grab a drink. Of course, we'll grab a drink. You do that for like 11 days straight. And it's like the end of a bender, like buddies trip or something, when all you want to do on Sunday is get home. And then you're out there and you're sort of like, all right, we got to, okay, and we all do this walk. It's really cool, like emotional walk, especially for all the guys that are kind of going like lifebird, which means you age out. You're not an active Thunderbird anymore. You all walk up 18 together with like the gallery and then finishing out on 18. and then like they tie and we all go back down and we have to like do it again every time. And everyone there is like, speaking of being emotional, like everyone's got no serotonin left from the entire week. So we're all like emotional, sad, completely drained. And you're like, I just need to get home. I don't want to see any of you other Thunderbird guys for 2 months. Just like, we just got to get away from this golf tournament, man. And it's like, oh no, we're going to go do a playoff and do another hole. And so, dude, as you get back, my buddy dropped me off last night because we stay in a hotel through the week. And I had like opened up my place for a couple of my buddies to come visit and stay here. So you pack up all your stuff, you leave the hotel, you get back to your place. I ordered Chipotle. I got inside. I turned on the Super Bowl, finally like able to check it out. And it was like right at the halftime show. And it's all in Spanish. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, I'm done. And next thing I knew, I woke up and the Super Bowl was over. It was literally over. You just missed it. I was like, I like bet on the Patriots to cover 4.5, and I never saw a single part of it. So unfortunately, it's so cool doing the event, but you're so focused on the whole thing and getting through it and hosting people and having fun, and there's partying here and there. You don't want to miss out on anything. And then you're sort of like, wait, there's a Super Bowl now. And then I just slept through the entire thing.
I mean, lucky for you, you missed one of the most uneventful Super Bowls of all time in terms of the play on the field. It was just
that's what it seemed like.
That first half, I think it was 4 field goals. Was just 12-0, and we're just like, man, this is the biggest spectacle. This is the culmination of America's greatest game, and we were just like, man, this thing's kind of over. And then the Patriots scored 1 touchdown in the second half, and it was like, oh wow, maybe they actually will come back and win this thing, or at least make it a game. And then a couple more turnovers, and it was like, that was a pretty bad.
Yeah,
Super
it was a
Bowl,
nothing
man.
burger, and obviously you have a lot of action on DK, and everyone's got all their things going on at their parties and stuff, and whatever you might have in terms of action, and it's just like there was nothing going on. The Borelli boys, Frank the second and Frank the third, needed that 2-point conversion in a way that I would call life-changing. So much so that like my dad's here watching Frankie right now. It's actually my wife's first day back at work today. So it's been kind of a whirlwind.
Oh, wow.
He's such a good baby that like this was Daddy's day to like take control. Usually she wakes up with them and does the whole deal. So it's been like, he looked at me this morning. He's like, what are we doing today? Like what happened? Why is this different than the other 9 months? But they're here watching while I do the pod. And like he walked in, he goes, don't even look at me. He goes, he goes, the Patriots 2-point conversion over the last 3 years has been 77%. He's like throwing stats. I mean, this guy doesn't do stats for anything. Truly, truly heartbreaking. But we move on, we move forward. 9-5 is just an outrageous finish. It was what it would have been. Ended up finishing 9-3, but we move on. We power forward as best we can, best as we can. Without thinking about it, because if you think about it too much, you stop thinking. It's over. Then the lights go out. So at the end of the day, it was a great Super Bowl in terms of like just being around family, but the game really stunk. And I know that the halftime show is getting everyone going. I mean, my little piece on that would be like, I'm a huge fan of music. I like rhythm. I like music. I think I think any rational thinking brain would say it's a little bit preposterous. There you go. It's a little bit preposterous to do the whole entire show in another language when it's like, obviously, like everyone's watching it. So like, I think that show calls for like I think it's always been a very hard place to be in as the performer of the Super Bowl, because you have to perform for a wide variety of people. That's like what that time slot calls for. There's like different shows for different moments and different people. Like the Super Bowl calls for like being able to have a collection of music that like everyone can enjoy, which I think has been like a really, really important part of the Super Bowl in our culture, of like who has been able to nail that and who hasn't. Like some people have had like music that's very niche, and some people have had music where you're like, holy smokes, like everyone can enjoy this no matter what it is. They have special guests that come out and like they hit all different aspects. Like the Dr. Dre Super Bowl commercial, Super Bowl halftime, had a little bit of everything. No matter who you were, you could like watch that and be like, I know that song. So I really did enjoy most of the show because I thought like the theatrics were great, and obviously like his Pregunto song, the TT, that one's like probably the most downloaded song in the history of the world. I mean, the guy is the biggest artist globally 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2025. So I think just like 2023, someone beat him. It's ridiculous. I mean, he like trounces Taylor Swift's numbers, which are, if you do a deep dive into Bad Bunny, his numbers are preposterous.
Huge.
But like watching the 30-minute show, like anyone can be like, that's a little bit ridiculous. So, I mean, like, yeah, I started to lose a little bit of attention span when I just couldn't understand any of it. I wish I was bilingual, but I'm not. So yeah, I just think anyone that's like hardcore, like caring about it too much, like on either side is like, I saw KFC put up a video of it and I was so aligned with him where he's like, I have people that like I'm growing up with that are like now Bad Bunny friends, like Bad Bunny fans. Like you've never listened to a single song of Bad Bunny and you're also from like Wantagh, Long Island, and you're like, you're the most Irish person in the history of the world. Like you don't know Puerto Rican music. You don't. So like, don't put it up on your Instagram story being like Puerto Rican power or whatever the hell they were putting. It was ridiculous. Like both sides is outrageous.
The whole thing's gotten crazy. People planting their political flag or associating their political identity with what halftime show you watch.
It's insane.
Things are fucking nuts, dude. Like
it's
the whole thing. Like
man.
the context gets pulled out of it where it's just like this is now the way things go. So pick one of the halftime shows and that's who you are. And it's like, holy shit. I watched the Bad Bunny one because I was just watching the Super Bowl. And there was a lot of ass shaking. There was a lot of rhythm. And I was like, this is a pretty good performance. Gaga was there. Like, awesome. I enjoyed the performance. And then I just watched the rest of the football game. I didn't take to the social media streets. I didn't like start yelling at my neighbor or anyone around me. I was just like, I watched the Super Bowl halftime show. And then I watched the Super Bowl and I went to bed. It feels like that's crazy now, but that's just what I did.
You're also allowed to like not like something. Just like not like it.
Yeah, and have it not be political, right? You could like not. That's what I think is like missing from it. Is just that like you're gonna have a take one way or the other on the show. You're either gonna think it's like bad, it's like fine, or it was great. You know, like you're gonna be in kind of one of those three buckets. It doesn't have to be because of comments made, or because of the or you're on this side of the aisle, or you're on that side, or because Kid Rock was doing so, that shouldn't affect it. It just, you could just have an opinion on like a show being a show. That's why, certain musicians and talent and entertainment are like more successful and popular than the others because more people think it's really good. And that's great. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's what I thought was just getting lost is like, it's almost impossible to, if you just tweeted out, wasn't my favorite show, I give it a 2 out of 10. You are instantly by like 50% of the country is going to be like, oh, that's just because you are like a ridiculous hardcore right-wing activist. You're like, no, I just like didn't think it was very
subjective.
Good.
You're like, it's literally there for you to either like it or not. That's like what the music industry. That's what music's supposed to be. Like I said, I watched it. I enjoyed the beginning of it. I thought it was like, oh, this is actually interesting. Great set design. I thought like everything that he was doing was kind of cool. There was a bunch of celebrities in the house. And I thought like even the way he was rapping was cool. I didn't know any of the songs. And then, 20 minutes of it went by. I'm like, okay, it's starting to go down on my meter at this point. I'm waiting for something that I know. And it just didn't happen. So like, I don't like that, but like, that's fine. We just move on.
I would also say as I've grown up, like not everything has to be tailor-made for me. Like not everything has to be like, it has to be for me to enjoy it. Like I'm not like Bad Bunny is very popular. I don't know a ton of his songs. I know the really popular ones. But I also know that not everything has to be just like the things that I want has to be the halftime show. It's just the whole thing has gotten way too crazy.
1776. We all just got to read it, man. Everyone's got to read it.
I think everybody should read it. I think it would have I think that would do a lot of people a lot of good.
Any commercials that I missed that need to be talked about?
Dude,
there were a couple. I mean,
really?
I don't know. The Dunkin' Donuts one was good. Like the Goodwill Dunkin'. Like the Goodwill Hunting kind of
pretty good,
cast was in there. That was funny. The Jurassic Park one I thought was good. There was like one that caught my eye, but I couldn't hear it because like the people, like the party that we were at was being loud at that point. But like there was like a lot of hair at the bottom of the shower and they were all singing. I thought that one may have gotten my attention if I was just sitting in my basement watching it. But
is there part of it now that like the commercials aren't a surprise? Do they all come out before?
They post them because, dude, they're $8 million for like 30 seconds, I heard this year. So, I mean, they're trying to get as much money out of it as they can. So they hype it up going into it. There's a lot of lead-ins. Like the commercials will stop on social media and be like, watch the ending after the halftime
clever.
show or something like that.
It's clever stuff.
There was a great movie premiere trailer that came out. That's like the new I don't know who. How am I?
Spielberg?
Was it the new Spielberg movie? Oh no, it wasn't Spielberg.
What's the last in theater movie you guys saw?
Oppenheimer, I think.
Same.
I saw Wicked for Good and Wicked 1.
Oppenheimer, was that like a year and a half ago?
More. Right? 2023 probably?
2023, like the Barbenheimer.
I think that's the last one. Yeah,
I love the movies.
I know. You're a huge movie guy. I was just thinking I haven't been to a theater since, I think that was it. That was the last time.
That seems to be the biggest draw now in terms of Super Bowl commercials is like the hype for trailers, movie trailers.
I get that
are coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
I maybe it's just, when I was younger and it was just the commercials, the comedic aspect of them seemed to be way more. Now it's, I don't know. They're really trying to make you cry with a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of dogs. There was a lot of dog deaths or like lost and like getting the dog. That was a big one. The Brad Pitt movie is the one I was thinking of. That big Brad Pitt movie that's coming out. So it's not Spielberg. It's like you'll see it. It's got a million different actors and actresses in it. And it was just hitting you. It was really cool. It was like one of the first big commercials that came on. People
forget AngelSoft stole my idea last year. 2 years ago, I tweeted.
They did.
You remember that? They should do is, because I'm never able to go to the bathroom during the Super Bowl. You're watching the game and you're watching the commercials. You have to pay attention to both. So there's no time to go to the bathroom. So what one company should do is take out a 30-second ad and say, this is your time to use the bathroom. And they count down a clock. They give you 30 seconds. AngelSoft, the toilet paper company, stole my idea. They did it the next year. I got no money, no credit, but it's a great idea. And they used it.
Something on the same wavelength of that, not the same, but like shocked everyone, was the Backstreet Boys sing along karaoke commercial. Or was it NSYNC?
No, it was Backstreet Boys.
I'm always in between on those two. But I think that was like Coinbase or something. It literally was the whole chorus and verse of the song, like you were singing karaoke, the karaoke screen and everything. And at the end, it just changed the words to the company. You're like, okay, I remember that now.
It's great to see the Backstreet Boys. I was more of an NSYNC guy, but it's still, that's right in my childhood. The Backstreet Boys, boy bands, the whole thing. So it was good to see.
I was NSYNC too. I was more NSYNC as well. I kind of liked NSYNC for a while there.
I was too young for it. Like my sisters were into it.
Yeah, you would have just missed it. It was a big to do.
Late 90s, you'd say, right? Like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Early 2000.
I'm like 5 and 6 years old. Like I'd be lying if I said like I was into, I just didn't know.
No, that's what I mean. Obviously, Justin Timberlake came from that, and he became a huge star. But I was an NSYNC guy. But still, I heard the Backstreet Boys song, and I was like, this feels familiar.
This February, funding your Kraken account could earn you a serious bonus. From February 2nd to March 2nd. Kraken will match 3% of your net deposits, capped at $1 million. That's up to $30,000 in bonus value just for moving cash or crypto to Kraken. To join, you opt in through the Kraken app. Make sure auto earn is turned on when you do. After that, you are in. Just deposit, hold, and earn your match. Kraken's great. The crypto world, as folks know, it's here to stay. It's been here for a while now, and you're going to want the best spot to trade and to research and to be all over crypto, and Kraken is that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any secret that it's been an interesting couple of weeks in the world of crypto, but some would also argue that this is the best time to get involved because it is the future. It's not going anywhere, and Kraken is the place to be for all your crypto. Go on there, get involved. You won't regret it. It's Kraken's number one.
Your bonus lands after the promo ends, so make sure that you learn more at kraken.com/FDM. Terms apply. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to U.S. customers, excluding New York and Maine, through Payward Interactive Incorporated. Great week with our great friends at Adidas Golf. Look, it's been half a year or so now that we've been with Adidas. Awesome work on the Sambas throughout this entire last week. I wore them almost every day out there, but if you didn't know, if you hadn't seen, we teamed up with Adidas to put a fresh spin on one of the most iconic silhouettes in footwear, bringing it to life as the official shoe of the People's Open this past week. They're limited quantities, by the way. They're still available at Adidas.com, BarstoolSports.com, PGA Tour Superstore.com. Once they're gone, they are gone. So make sure that you check them out. But outside of even that, they've just got so many good things at Adidas. They're one of the most iconic apparel brands in the history of the world. And to be partnered with them, very, very cool for us.
Very, very cool. The Sambas are incredibly comfortable. They just look really good. I wore them everywhere in Arizona, and people were like, what are those? I was like, they're our shoe. They're our new collab with Adidas. Go check them out. I know they sold really well in the shop. They sold really well on our side. They're selling really well with Adidas. This partnership has just been incredible. All their stuff is great. Their golf stuff is great. Their leisure wear is great. I'm wearing their hoodies and their sweatpants all the time when I'm hanging around the house. So just go on the Adidas website, take a look around. I guarantee you will find something that you want. Buy it and enjoy it.
Shop the shoe at adidas.com/foreplaypod. Once again, go check it out, adidas.com/foreplaypod and barstoolsports.com. And just check out Adidas golf gear in general. Be aware of it. We're going to be promoting it all year throughout our videos, throughout everything, just wearing it and being pretty much decked out head to toe in Adidas all the time. Means a lot. And then again, go check out our stuff and their stuff at adidas.com/foreplaypod and barstoolsports.com.
Scottie Scheffler, man.
That's what I was going to bring up. He didn't win the tournament, but the fact that there was even a conversation about Scottie Scheffler on Sunday and throughout the weekend is fucking preposterous. Guy shot a 73 in the opening round.
Dude, he was one back on like when he was playing the 16th hole at one point, and like the leaders were on 12. Like
he ended up losing by one
to win this championship.
This might be the only way that he's not going to win every golf tournament is if he gets off to like a kind of slow start. 73 is obviously by Scottie Scheffler standards is a very slow start, but like, you know, not terrible. And then he's just like, all right, I'm almost still going to win this golf tournament. Is freaking nuts.
He was frustrated too. He was like visibly out of it on Thursday. He doffed one wedge shot and was like, did a crazy thing with his wedge and like kind of snapped. And you could tell that he was very frustrated. He was not in the right mind, and then comes back the rest of the weekend and just completely torches the golf course. So much. I mean, like he made that huge push, and on Saturday and Sunday missed the green short on 15 both times on the gettable par 5, where he was like dumbfounded that he didn't hit it pin high. He almost hit it in the water both times and ended up making birdie with up and downs. But like that's also a situation where when Scottie's going, he's making eagles both times and probably like wins the golf tournament if he does that. Like he was that close to moving that. He would have flipped the script. He would have made an eagle on 15, par on 16, and then he would have birdied 17, and he would have birdied 18. Everyone would have been like, holy smokes, Scottie Scheffler's one up right now, and all these guys have to just somehow figure out how to get 2 under to beat this guy now in the next 5 or 6 holes, and they probably wouldn't have. And that's how good this guy is. He really is Tiger-esque. When he doesn't have it, he's still. What did he finish? Because I know it ended up changing as guys came in.
Second. He finished second.
So
well, I guess he was one back, so he finished third because there was a playoff. So he finished tied for third.
That's insane, man. Dude, the guy's odds to win were like plus 2,800 after his first round, and then all of a sudden he finished in third. Like, what are we talking about?
He finished one stroke out of the playoff, boys. One stroke, which was a T3 finish. That moves me, so people know I'm putting $500 on Scottie every single tournament that he plays in. That was close. Things got exciting there. I might have sprinkled a little bit of a live bullet just in case. But that still puts me up $950 right now. And that was with Scottie having what felt like a terrible week. As crazy as that sounds, T third. So a couple other notables I put in here. Brooks Koepka missed the cut. I know, it wasn't the most fair or whatever, but just a couple weeks ago, he was the biggest story in like sports and all of golf. Kind of an okay performance at the Farmers. And then he missed the cut at the WM Phoenix Open. I don't think that's overly like concerning. I mean, I know he has won there a few times before. It's going to take a little bit to knock the rust off, I feel like, and get out there to like a consistently week in, week out competitive schedule. And then another name I wrote down as a notable was Ricky Fowler, finished top 20. I feel like, we haven't seen Ricky Fowler a ton the last few years. So one of the more popular figures in the entire game. Nice to see Ricky playing pretty solid this week and get himself a top 20. Outside of the Phoenix Open, shout out to, we've done a lot of 1776 and a lot of America talk on this show. Shout out to Captain America himself, Patrick Reed. Dude. Patrick Reed has decided to go on a global rampage. He has finished first, second, and first in 3 starts on the DP World Tour since leaving the LIV Golf and not eligible to return to the PGA Tour until 1 year after his most recent LIV performance, which is August of this year. But he has gone win, second, win.
Oh, Patrick Reed.
Somebody get Roll Up on the horn and just get this guy on the tour next week. Like, this is the momentum. He's playing incredibly well. We all want to see Patrick Reed on the PGA Tour on a regular basis. Let's just do it. He's playing so well. It's not one of these situations where he's a guy who's now limping back to the tour. He is at the top of his game, seemingly. And like, to have him on leaderboards at PGA Tour events now would be so much fun. So I know that there's all this red tape and he's got to wait and it doesn't matter, but like, come on, man. The membership returning program was something they drew up on a napkin. It seemed like let's just get this thing going and get Patrick Reed back in the fold while the momentum is there. Who knows how he's going to be playing 6 months from now? I mean, all signs point to him probably playing pretty well, but like, let's jump on this. If we're really going to make moves to be the number 1 tour in the world, get Patrick Reed in a tour event now.
Patrick Reed going to work himself back onto the Ryder Cup team?
Dude, please.
I mean, at this point, if it were tomorrow, I think Patrick Reed and Chris Gotterup would be like the most obvious additions to that current situation that we've got going on. Yeah. I think he
100%, right? Like I'm putting them both, and I think they both get in on points alone, like based on the way they're playing. Like, how do you not tell both those guys? How would you even say that it goes into a decision at that point? It's just they're playing the best golf that they can play. I know one's on the DP World Tour and one's not, but I mean, listen, man, Patrick Reed, if he keeps this up, I'd be happy to have him back on that team. I think we call him Captain America. He's proven that he can get it done. Obviously, the team needs a little bit of a shakeup. They need a little bit of emotion. They need some sort of storyline going into Ireland. Bring him back. Hopefully, he has a great year. Yeah, like you said, the player return program or whatever they're calling it, like, just come up with another rule to get him in. Be like, yeah, by the way, we forgot to say because we didn't think it would happen. Like, if you won 2 events over the 2 out of the 3 events in the first 2 months, you're back in. It's just
and
like
your initials are PR, and it's like
if your wife runs your Twitter account and you've gotten banned from 5 different country clubs because of like disputes or whatever, like, you're back in on the PGA Tour.
Because you know what? All this stuff we're seeing, like the Rory Cantlay video, all the Rory stuff that is just always surrounding the Ryder Cup. You know who's an antidote to that? You know who can go toe to toe with that? You know who can put his finger on his lips and shush a crowd just like that? It's our guy, Patrick Reed. Okay. So the sooner this guy gets back into the fold, the better things are going to be for the world of golf and for Team USA.
He does that like open mouth shush. It's just, just a little.
It's weird.
It's shush. Weird, but it's our weird. And it makes everybody else angry.
You shush.
Hateable by the other team, by the entire continent of Europe. He is so hateable that you just need him in there. He's doing annoying shushes. He's like holding wedge shots. His wife's calling the New York Times to bitch about captaincy.
That's our version of the neck grab, the face. It's like, it's chaos.
Smug America.
Chaos. We need arguments. We need
shithead America that nobody likes. It's like, that's our guy, man.
We need turmoil. We need stuff getting leaked to the press. That's what gets us going. That's when we win at Whistling Straits, like going into those types of tournaments.
It's an incredible story that he's playing this well. I just like genuinely like amazing that he's playing well. And Frankie said it a couple weeks ago when he finished, I guess when he won that tournament, that was probably the reason he didn't win. Maybe he got second, but that was probably the reason he said, fuck LIV. Like, he was going into contract negotiations. They're teeing off in Riyadh 2 weeks from then. And he was like, no, dude, I'm going to try to make my way back.
Yeah, it was right after he won. And, I know it's DP World Tour over there. It's not the PGA Tour. that event he won a couple weeks ago, like Rory was in that field, Tommy Fleetwood was in that field. Like that was no joke. And week in, week out, it's not going to be as strong. But those are, he's not playing Mickey Mouse golf fields in competition. That's incredibly impressive. So he now is pretty much locked up his PGA Tour card for going forward, which I know is incredibly important because he, like what Brooks Koepka is going through right now is tricky. He's starting from scratch. And if it's like you don't play well, you can't get into he's obviously got the exemption from from winning the PGA Championship a couple years ago. But for Patrick Reed, it was like, dude, you got to kind of like start from scratch-ish and like earn your card. And he's going to have to do the fall series. Now he's pretty much, because top 10, I believe it is, for DP World Tour standings for the year, get their PGA Tour card for the following year. That's a lock. I mean, he's won 2 times. He's finished second. That thing's over. So once August hits, unless they don't, enact this like based on the degree of your wife's Twitter account pettiness rule to get people back on tour, he's going to be able to come back in August, which will be huge for him. He also, he missed the cut a couple times in majors last year. He also finished 3rd at the Masters last year, Patrick Reed. So
I was going to say, he's going to play in all 4 majors, right?
He will, because of his 2017 exemption or 2018 exemption. I think I'm pretty sure he gets like 10 years into pretty much all the majors. Obviously, he's in the Masters forever.
That's a huge opportunity to keep this thing going. Winning on DP World Tour is one thing. If he comes over and wins a major this year, like you said, performed well last year at the Masters. The Patrick Reed train is full steam ahead. Is his brother-in-law still on the bag? I think I saw him recently, right? We saw him at an event.
I was texting with him last week, Kessler Crane.
Kessler, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we know them pretty well. They've always been nice to us and fans of what we do, no matter how much shit we've talked or how honest we've been about the situations that he's found himself in, especially in terms of like the family matter and all that. We've been very open about our takes on it for years upon years. And I think we've always said that we don't think that he knows any of it, just kind of bounces off of him and he just keeps playing golf. He's not aware of any of it. His team is definitely aware, and they still just kind of roll with the punches. They know that they've got a guy that is interesting and that a guy that is polarizing, for better or worse. He just is. He's a polarizing figure. He always has been. He's just one of those guys that just makes things happen. He probably can't believe some of the stuff he's found himself into, but it's just one of those guys, man. He's a magnet for just chaos. And they've always, given us time. And dude, the Kessler guy, like, let us walk with him. Where was that? Was that at the President's Cup? And then he like punched a fan in Australia?
Yeah, it was at President's Cup, I believe. And then he gave us, he was the one that gave us the quote. We broke that news that ended up getting us into, foreplay versus old man golf media. But yeah.
Dude, didn't Patrick Reed give you like exclusive interviews during a major championship?
Yeah, we like invented the walk and talk during the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. We just became Patrick Reed, like North Korean media. Remember that? He was like,
he wouldn't do media with people, but he would give Riggs 10 minutes when he was either walking to like the green or when he was walking from signing a scorecard to going to the range for like post round, workout. And then like we were always getting Patrick Reed updates during the major from just Riggs.
Our relationship with Patrick Reed is the greatest argument for Patrick Reed living in a bubble and not knowing anything that's going on outside of what's right in front of him. Because we've talked about him. He's got to be in the top 5 of guys we've talked about on the show overall. So like we've said everything. We've been positive. We've been negative. We've had polarizing. We've been everywhere with him, and he still goes up to Riggs at Winged Foot and says, "You're my guy this week, and we're going to do walk and talks for the next 4 days."
The interesting part, that's why I'm so convinced that he just has, like you just described, the biggest disconnect between reality and how he feels on a day-to-day basis and what people may or may not be saying about him publicly, because he has always been 10 out of 10 with us. Every time we've seen him, he's got that little smile. He's friendly. He's chit-chatty. His caddy, Kessler, is the man. He always responds every time we reach out to him. Like, all of it is, and then like we've said whatever needs to be said about him on this show, depending on what's going on in his professional life at that time. We've talked about all of it, and every time we see him, he's just got a big smile. Hey, what's going on, boys? And he's just giving us exclusive interviews. So yeah, I mean, what an interesting cat, man. What an absolutely interesting cat that guy is.
Incredible. Great to have him back in the swing of things.
Yep, absolutely. LIV Golf kicked off their year. I don't know really that that you needed to deliver another punch to LIV, and you don't need to. But I didn't even really realize that their tournament went on until like this morning when I was getting ready for this podcast, and I kind of looked through it a little bit. This Elvis Smiley, who I think is 23 years old, maybe, got the win by 1 over Jon Rahm. One of the big takeaways that I did get from this is that the official World Golf Rankings points for LIV are kicking in, and they're making a pretty big difference actually right away. Rahm he went all the way from 93rd up to 67th this week. I saw Sebastian Munoz jumped 201 spots from 767th to 566th. Abe Answer climbed 167 spots. Thomas Peters climbed 145 spots. So top 10 finishers and ties on LIV during their events are now getting official World Golf Ranking points. So just something to monitor, as I think we will see more LIV players getting into the majors this year due to the top 10 getting points.
Yeah, I wonder if that's our guy Trevor Immelman that implemented that. I mean, I know he's like the head of that new World Ranking Points committee, and had a lot of tough decisions to make in terms of what is LIV going to get. And it is interesting timing, the fact that LIV is seemingly crumbling at the seams right now, and that they legitimized it in some sort of way, right? You could have just held, and we think that this is all going to resolve itself in a couple of years, if not sooner, depending on what happens. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they'll shock us, and maybe they'll keep this thing going just because of the unlimited money aspect of it. But yeah, I was pretty stunned at them even throwing them any sort of bone in terms of the world ranking points, because that was always the thing that these guys really wanted. And that was like, because now in terms of just like, if all you care about is playing in the majors, like it doesn't matter what tour you're on. If you think you're going to be good enough to get points, you'll qualify now if you perform well and LIV.
They got points, but LIV was still pissed because they didn't get it to the extent that they wanted. So it was, they got legitimized in a certain way, but it also felt a little bit like your tour is not deep enough for us to take this to the next level, where the guys who finish outside the top 10 are worthy of getting points and moving up in the rankings and playing the major. So it was a little bit of both, but I'm fine with that. Like, I think there are a lot of guys who finish in the top 10 at LIV events who should be playing in the majors. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
That's my takeaway as well. Like, I am happy that, because we need Jon Rahm in majors. We need Abraham Answer in majors.
Joaquin Niemann, man. Remember how good he's been playing? He couldn't get into some of the majors.
Figure it out, and they did apparently. But those guys still have to perform now, so the pressure's on them. And the good thing about that is that this might ignite some sort of fire into them to play well on LIV, have it not just be all about the money, but like now they have a path to at least make their year meaningful in terms of playing in majors, finishing in top 10 in every single event that they play in, like, and it will make them perform better during the majors. If you have that fire, you have some sort of goal to strive for that's not just money incentive, where it's like, of course we want to finish in the top 10 to make as much money as we possibly can. Now finishing in the top 10 gets you further and to play with your peers and play in the biggest events. Maybe now we'll see a better performance out of the LIV guys.
Getting better at golf is huge, man. It's huge. If you're listening to the show, you just want to be playing better golf. I guarantee it. Training aids with Skills are going to help you do that. That's why we partnered up with Skills a few years ago. We said, look, us just going out to the range, going out to the backyard, standing here in the living room on our own is clearly not going to do it. It's impossible. There's no way we're going to get better doing that. We teamed up with Skills, which is located at Dick's Sporting Goods and at Golf Galaxy. And these training aids have helped us a lot, Trent.
Yeah, I think there's everybody goes to the point of their golf game where you just hope and pray that things get better. You're just like, if I just think about it and think about how I can play better golf, that's going to work. Everybody knows who's gone through that. That does not work. You actually have to work at it. You have to use these training aids. You have to take them to the driving range. You have to walk around the house with them. You have to chip. You have to use everything that you have at your disposal, which is the training aids through Skills. that can make you get better at the game of golf, because that's how it's going to happen. And if you don't do that, then it's not going to happen. And everybody just wants to be better at the game of golf. So if you get these skills, get all these training aids, work with them, your game will improve. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. The hinge trainer, the swing guide trainer, chipping net, putting mat, putting mirror, all kinds of great stuff. We use it all the time. It's legit and it really helps. Head to golfgalaxy.com/barstool or to a Dick's Sporting Goods, House of Sport, or Golf Galaxy location near you for play and skills. Train smarter, play better. Last thing I got on my list is Brandel Chamblee with his take on the Players' Championship. So, for context, he's been touting that the Players' Championship is a major championship for a very long time. I will also say that on this show, I think we are about as big as supporters of the Players' Championship as there is in the world of golf. I've told many people that I think maybe the best overall event to go to throughout the year outside of the Masters is the Players' Championship. I am blown away every time I go down to that event. I think that the fact that it holds the amount of prestige that it holds, the fact that it is in such a cool area where I think like Ponte Vedra Beach and Jacksonville Beach, Atlantic Beach, Jacksonville in general, that area of Florida is so cool. It's like our kind of people. It's a relatively normal part of Florida, I would say, as a guy that's gone on plenty of tirades about Florida. From a golf course perspective, you get very few courses, really. You get some for sure where you could walk onto a place and it's just worth it from a spectator standpoint to see the golf holes in person. Like that's, we've talked about that at the Masters. When you go to Augusta for the first time, one of the coolest things in the world is not even seeing a single golf shot. It's just walking every single hole, going down to Amen Corner for the first time, seeing the 12th hole, seeing the 15th hole, the 16th hole, seeing like the 18th green where all that iconic stuff has happened, seeing the clubhouse, all of it. It's just really cool. Sawgrass has a ton of that factor. When you see that little corner of the course that's got the 16th hole, obviously the 17th hole island green, and then the 18th hole tee shot with the clubhouse in the background, it's so cool. And then even there's certain holes that really stick out to me too, like the 4th hole, that awesome like little snaky hole where Scottie holed out that wedge a couple years ago, where you kind of like they hit 3-wood driver and then they got to cover the water and there's that big slope. Like just seeing a lot of the holes is really, really a cool feature. So the biggest Players' Championship defenders of all time, Brandel came out and said, when he was asked about it, he said not only is the Players' Championship in his mind a major championship, but he said it's the best major championship. And he said the Players to me stands alone and above the other 4 major championships as not just a major, it is in my estimation the best major. And he went on, I'm not going to put the whole clip in here, but he had kind of prefaced that by talking about it has the deepest field, right? So the Masters tournament has around 90 people in the field each year. And those 90 people are, 10, 15, 20 of them are past Masters champions that are quite old. It's an invite only. You got to get invited to the Masters. A handful of those participants are also amateurs, which is really cool, but from like the crow's nest. So comparing that field to like the Players' Championship field, it's not as deep and it's not overall as strong. If you go to the PGA Championship, right? The PGA Championship has 20 players in the field that are like club pros or on the club pro level. So comparing the entire field of that, the Open Championship and the U.S. Open are just by that nature open. So you have people that just qualify as long as you have a certain handicap. You could go through each stage and try to just qualify. So the Players' Championship in his mind has the toughest schedule of all of the air quotes like 5 major championships. It's got as iconic of a golf course as the other 4 major championships. And for a bunch of these reasons, he believes that it's the best major championship. I will just finish my little part on this real quick and say it's never going to be better than or the Masters tournament. I don't know that anything will be in the golf world. The Masters tournament is just awesome. It's just awesome. It's as good as it gets for every reason. I don't even need to list them. There are certain years where I would say that the Players' Championship can be better than the PGA Championship that year. It could be better than the US Open that year. It could be better than the Open Championship that year. I truly do believe that. There are many years where I believe that. But on an overall standpoint, it's a ridiculous thing to say.
It's preposterous. I mean, he's a takes guy, and he wants to get people going, which pisses me off because he is so analytical and so stat driven, and he speaks very much with what he believes in, and then he comes out with things like this, and it makes you think he's just in it for the views and to solidify his role in the game of golf, which is to get people going. That kind of throws me off a little bit. Like, if I'm going to be honest about Brandel, where he absolutely can't, when he's having his glass of wine sitting in Pinehurst with all the boys, there's no way he could stand by this. Over the Masters is like the greatest major, because is that the wording he used? Like, greatest major, like the best?
It is, in my estimation, the best major.
That's like, so like the field and all of that stuff is like an argument. Like, the best has so many things that come into that, and like the Masters is the best in every aspect. There is nothing close, not even close. The US Open, in terms of like field, like I would argue the best players in the world that week are playing in the US Open, because like if you're opening it up to everyone, and like, we had that funny hypothetical, like when Rory McIlroy won the Masters that week, was he the best player that week? You got guys that don't have the ability to get hot for years upon years to get themselves to be on the PGA Tour, to then get themselves to be in the players, but you have guys that are maybe are playing the best golf in the world for a month span. They win their local qualifier to get into the US Open. They find themselves at Oakmont, and all of a sudden, I mean, I know it doesn't happen, but it could. And that opportunity opens itself up to having the hardest, toughest field in all of golf. It's also the hardest golf courses. It's big ballpark. I mean, come on, Brandel. And I love the Players Championship. Dude, Rory McIlroy winning and the way that he won against JJ Spawn, the whole deal, that was, you remember where you were type of golf. Them hitting the shots, what was it, like the 9-iron he knocked down, and then like throwing him off, and you're on the iconic 17th, and they're hitting balls in the water, and other guys are hitting in the middle of the green, and they're playing it safe. It is phenomenal golf. It is theater golf. It is blue water, green grass. You are living in Ponte Vedra Beach. Like, that is some good stuff. The music, the gold man. I'm playing there with Trent on Saturday. We're playing TPC Sawgrass on freaking Saturday. This Saturday. We're playing in 5 days. Like, I love that golf course. I love everything about it. It's going to be real hard. We're going to shoot 1,000 out there. Oh. Like the fact that, and I guess my point's like the fact that me and Trent are playing there on Saturday means like it's not even close to the best thing in the world. I mean, like the Masters is the best thing in the world. You can't touch it. People are taking grass and they're putting it in their pocket just to take it home, and like hopefully the little pot in their kitchen has a touch of Augusta in it. Like, come on, man! And he just live from Augusta. Like, there's no way he doesn't get swept up in all that stuff. Fuck out of here with with all your analytics. There's no way it's not the same. There's no way it's on the same stratosphere.
Right. Like what I did on 17 at the Creator Classic, I could not do on 12 at Augusta.
You disgraced it. You know what I mean?
But I will say this opinion from Brandel is coming at a time where the new tagline from the PGA Tour for the players is March is going to be major. So there seems to be, not that they're in like cahoots, but there seems to be a push for like, this thing is a big event. We want it to be a major. And we've talked about it during the podcast where we defend the players on, there isn't really like a committee that says this is a major and this isn't. I don't know who bestows that on certain tournaments. It more is just a feel, and then as time has passed, it's like, these are the 4, you win those, you win the Grand Slam, blah, 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 blah. So I can see where the PGA Tour is just like, fuck it. We're just going to start calling ourselves a major. And that's what we told them to do. We were like, just start saying it. Be like, we're a major. And then maybe
there might not be a committee, but there is, like, the majors are majors, and they're defined as that, no? Like by some sort of legal jargon, because I mean, in terms of like getting exemptions and all that stuff, and the Grand Slam, all of that stuff, it has to be, you can't just call yourself a major. I know we dove deep into this like a year ago for last year's players, and we were like, why don't they just call themselves a major? Like, is there an actual committee? But there has to be.
But like, like we just talked
question.
about with,
I really don't know.
But like we just talked about with Patrick Reed, where you win the 2018 Masters and you get a 10-year exemption from the majors. So that's somewhere in paperwork where it's like that means these 4 tournaments.
No, but it's not, because it's like each one has a different one, right? So when you win, right, because like the U.S. Open will be like, we offer these exemptions to like anyone who's won the Masters over the last 10 years, right? So they each kind of have their own like category of it. I really don't know what official like designation there is for majors other than we call them majors. And I think too, one fact about all of it is that if you just polled an average sports fan and said, does the PGA Tour have a major championship? They would be like, of course the PGA Tour has a major championship. I don't know which one it is. I don't know how it works. But like, it's the tour. Of course they have a major championship. The fact that they don't is crazy. Like the fact that the R&A has got a major, the fact that the USGA has a major, the PGA of America has a major, and the Augusta National, just like golf club, has their own major. All of that is great. I love all those tournaments. The PGA Tour, which has been like the entity in professional golf for fucking ever, and they just don't have a major championship, is loony. It's Looney Tunes. It doesn't make any sense.
And we talked a lot about like we could work it out in terms of what does it do to legacies in terms of the guys who have won them in the past. Like, do they add the number? We could figure all that out. We
did it, dude. It was fine.
Right.
Like, Jack was still beating Tiger. Right. It was still everything was intact. It was fine. No one cared. It wasn't anyone's business. No one cared. All right. Let's just do it.
It's also just a list that you Google, right? Like if you're like, who's got the most majors of all time? The only thing that matters there would be like what populates on your screen when you Google it. It's not like it doesn't matter.
This might be worth a deep dive from us. How the hell did majors become majors? That might have to be a segment from us.
Here we go.
You know what I mean? Because it's
Riggs. You want that one? I'll take TaylorMade. You want how did majors start?
I don't know how much information you're going to find because we have talked about this a lot on the show. And we can't seem to figure
find it. Trent.
Riggs is going to write a book called The Major Question.
Nice.
Golf's major question.
Wow.
It's because
find it in your local Barnes and Nobles.
And it's really
32.
It's Golf's really interesting that the PGA Tour is making a push essentially to be like, let's make this a major.
All right,
who
Trent,
do we got to talk to?
Which one do you want now? I'm taking TaylorMade.
Oh, man.
He's taking Golf's major question. Which one are you doing a deep dive on?
Oh man,
how many ears of corn are consumed at a PGA Tour event a year?
Insane hanging low vegetables there. That is like that's on that. We'll think of something, but it came up naturally. Like this one is a very, very interesting question.
It's a great question.
Nobody knows.
I'm sure there's a definitive answer that ends this book at question number at page 1. Like in 1927, they just decided these 4 at this conference.
I believe Jack won the Players once. I think Tiger won it twice. So outside of that, who really cares on the list? You know what I'm saying? It's not
doesn't matter.
Phil won it once.
Rory
so
has
he's
2.
Got there.
Rory has 2 players. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
So
our guy Ricky Fowler wins a major.
There we go.
Right.
Our guy Ricky Fowler ends up with a major championship. Changes his life. You just make that decision. You change that Google search. Changes his life.
The shot he hit on 17, he deserves one for that.
Oh, Jack won the Players 3 times. Look at that. Good for him. Fucking get him up there to 21 majors. That's fine.
Incredible.
No issue with that. Fucking great.
Now, the when did they switch over to TPC Sawgrass? That wasn't when Jack was
I want to say it was like 82 maybe.
Oh, okay. So he played his fair share of them on there.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, after it moved there in 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not Mickey Mouse, but like the pre-Sawgrass era to me starts to get a little wishy-washy.
Should we only count Sawgrass, TPC Sawgrass Players Championship?
I think if we're gonna make such a bold change, I think we're going Sawgrass era only.
Is it?
It's like I wish I could go back with the NHL and take away, pre-polio being cured Stanley Cups from like the Rangers when they won 3 when there's only 5 teams in the league aside from them. But like it's tough. It's a tough argument.
Is it too crazy and confusing to say the majors start now? The ones in the past that you won, great job, but they don't count towards the official count.
That sucks.
Okay.
That sucks.
There you go. I'm fine with that. I was going to say, now I think
Akshay Bhatia wins the Players Championship this year, and he's the only major that comes out of Sawgrass. I'm going to lose my mind that Tiger Woods isn't like.
Listen, I thought we were in a think tank. I thought we were all just spitballing ideas, and I got called.
I don't hate it, but I could see that being like the cleanest way that they could say it without any arguments, without changing history. I get it.
But also the issue with that is where you kind of find yourself now, where it's like you could say like, but Tiger won a couple of these, and Jack won a couple of these. Why isn't adding their total? People are all confused. I think everybody gets a major who won one. I think that's what you have to do.
I've also got a little bit of a calculation we could do here to get Tiger and Jack tied all time, which is if we only count post TBC Sawgrass Players Championships as majors, and we count U.S. Amateur wins as majors, which Jack Nicklaus himself counts, by the way.
Yeah.
Tiger won 3 U.S. Amateurs, and he won 2 Players, which would be 5 added to his current total. He's 3 behind. Jack, I believe, won 2 U.S. Amateurs and 0 TBC Sawgrass Players Championships. So I think that they would be tied at 20 major championships.
And if we do that, now we're really rooting for a comeback. You know what I mean? If those are the numbers, now, because the comeback now, like we all want to see Tiger play. We want him to play well. We want him to be healthy, but he's still a couple away. And you're just like, man, that is a hard thing to reach. But if we're tied and he wins one more and he's the GOAT of all time, the guy who tweets us all the time, he has to shut his mouth. Like what's that guy's name again? What was his name?
Lord of the Majors.
Lord of the Majors. His arguments are dead. And then we can just Tiger's the greatest golfer of all time. Full stop.
Lord of the Majors is going to hate this segment.
Every once in a while, I still get a tweet from him, and I'm like, wow, he's still
kicking
in the lab.
Yeah, long tweets.
Other sports have done it before. And what you were saying, Trent, I was thinking back, like Cal Clutterbuck is the all-time leader. Our guy Cal Clutterbuck's the all-time leader in NHL hits. And you know, they didn't register a hit in the stat sheet prior to like 1980 or something, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a time where they started saying these are hits. It's like you could, you know, it's happened before when like.
Are you saying Cal's record is bullshit?
No, I'm just saying that sports leagues have been brave enough to say like, I get that guys have been really hitting in this sport for years upon years, but like we're gonna say that the first hit this year is like number 1. You know what I mean? Like that took a lot of balls. I mean, I'm sure there was a guy that was like, oh my God, like if we're going to start counting these things, this guy's the hit king. You know what I mean? Like, so same thing with baseball. I'm sure that there are stats that guys, in terms of whatever it might be, I don't know what the baseball stat is that I'm trying to pull out, but you know, WAR and all these things. I don't know. Like they've definitely done it before where like, but for championships, like majors are like our championships. That's like a team championship. To just award someone one 40, 50 years later, something like that would be nuts. That'd be nuts.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Or to just say it's starting this year. We'd be up in arms. We would be up in arms.
We would be. But then think about how much weight that first one holds. Then it's like, who's going to be the first Players Champion major?
The most weight ever.
Winner.
All right, gentlemen. What a week, you know. What a great week. Golf. Tons of fans out there buying our merchandise, saying hi, enjoying the event. We got golf being all over the world with different winners from, you know, Patrick Reed to Chris Gotterup to Elvis Smiley over on LIV Golf. We got hot takes about majors. It's just Super Bowl. You know, it's just quite a lot going on as we gear up for, you know, we got a little bit left on the West Coast swing, and then we got the Florida swing. Before you know it, it's going to be the Players Championship, and it's going to be the Masters Tournament. It's going to be springtime around most of the country. So we're kind of rolling along nicely here.
Yeah, really great stuff. Like I said, we're heading down to Sawgrass. We got a great video coming out with Chaz.
Yep.
It's this
Chazzy.
Wednesday. It's like 2 via half or whatever we're calling it. But like this guy, he might be small, but he might be small, but he is mighty. He is a mighty golfer. Just ball on a string. One of the best senses of humor of all time. We also get pretty serious and at one point he tells stories about like growing up and like how he's been able to overcome all this stuff. Really fantastic video. I'm sure the editing is the best that you'll see on YouTube because our guys are the best. Shout out to B Jones and and the whole entire crew that just flies around the country with us and doesn't see their family and edit. And Ryan Richardson was out there on the golf course with us, doing something he never thought in a million years he'd be doing, because he was here to do the podcast, and now he's like filming balls hitting greens and us like sculling wedges across his kneecaps, and
poor
just,
bastard.
you know, you just get thrown right into the fire. So great video on Wednesday. Go give it a lot of love. Make sure you share it and comment your favorite part. One of the things that we love to do is we like to see the comments. The comments go a long way. If we get a bunch of comments in that first 2 hours, 3 hours of a video, it does a lot for the video. YouTube algorithm can make a video get 1 million views or 80 views based off of just the action it's getting in the comment section and the likes. So go give the fellas a couple of comments and likes and let that thing kind of rip, because Chaz deserves it. He's an absolute star. And aside from that, man, I got nothing else. We got a fun week ahead. I'm taking my father-in-law to the Daytona 500, third time the charm. Even though when you look at the look at the weather, there's only one day right now that has a huge rain emoji on it, and that is Sunday of the Daytona 500. So everyone, just keep your eyes and ears peeled for that Sunday. If I don't get this guy to the track on Sunday, you know that there's a higher being stopping us from going there. This is the third year we're trying to go and watch the Daytona 500. If it rains out, I'm never trying again. You know what I mean? It's over. It's absolutely over. So,
all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Ryan Richardson, on the ones and the twos. We'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.